officers in the field. So a bipartisan response.
From day one, the 9/11 Commission said they weren't going to address any blame on the government. They were going to call for recommendations. And before they even had their whitewash investigation, they said, we're going to call for Patriot Act 2. We're going to call for a giant domestic CIA spying on every American, just like the KGB or the GRU. And then they were going to give us their findings after the election, but after there was some criticism, they said, okay, we'll bring you our findings beforehand. And then, the day after they announced their findings, calling for a domestic CIA to keep us all safe from ourselves, they have another fake terror alert, which admittedly later was fake. But what a nice backdrop to scare the people into going along with this. The 9/11 Commission, we can make a whole film about this. The whole thing is a fraud. And I read their final report. I went through the whole thing, and it would take an encyclopedia to counter all the lies and misrepresentations that are in it. I would just challenge everybody to understand that any commission appointed by those being investigated is not independent. Powerful people at the pinnacles of success are there, in many cases, because they are ruthless, because they could care less about anyone but themselves. They'd sell their mother out for a piece of bubble gum. And again, history has shown that.
Wait a minute, you say G.W. Bush. George Bush engineered the attacks on the World Trade Center.
Well, the people
that guy says subliminal.
He's a front man. I'm saying the brand
Nigeria is an important brand to name.
Look, George Bush is the red coating on the Coca-Cola can. He's the brand front. But back at the factory, you know, the guys at the factory, you know, the New World Order on top of the game. That's the A game right there. Do you know what W199I is?
That's your locker combination.
W1. You better. It's deadly serious. You better know what W199I is.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Get it.
Okay. 2 months before September 11th, George Bush signed it, ordering all FBI and defense intel officers that would be arrested under national security violation if they stopped the al-Qaeda terror rings in Chicago, Florida, New York, and New Jersey. The deputy head of the FBI...
Why would he
let me give you the facts and you go check it out for yourself. Anyways, Deputy FBI Director John O'Neill quit, released the document, and was dead on September 11th. Okay? And the document's out there. I had David Shippers on, General Parton, all these people. It was
he died on September 11th.
Yeah, he died on the 24th floor of the World Trade Center.
Okay.
He had just been hired.
He was on the trade.
He had just been hired by the owners of the Trade Center right after quitting. He thought it was a great deal. He didn't see the full scope. The Rockefeller family, along with the Port Authority, owned those towers, and had just transferred it 2 weeks before the attack, but he'd already been hired. His first day on the job, he was taken out. He's the guy that blew the whistle preemptively. It's in the New Yorker magazine, just one of the 500 publications. On PrisonPlanet.com and Infowars.com, we have over 600 9/11 smoking guns, or what we call red flags. Each one of these issues is enough to bring down the official story surrounding 9/11. Bottom line, their official story or fable is impossible, has been disproven at hundreds of levels. And they never respond once they've been proved to be liars. They just simply try to change their story. I got news for you. The world is round. You can put me in prison for saying it's round. But I'm telling you, buddy, one day everybody's going to know it's round. And the world isn't the center of the universe either. The world is round. The world, I'm here to tell you, they want to kill you and your family. They're putting cancer viruses in the vaccines. These mothers have created every monster you can imagine. And I do this because I believe in this country. And I believe in humanity and our power to create something.
That's right.
And I'm fighting total dehumanization. And everything I told you is deadly serious.
That's the A game. Look, he's smiling right afterwards. It's true, man. That's the A game, bitch. With that.
Gary,
sir,
world history, tyranny, tyrants. How do we deal with the general public not even being aware of the fact that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely? I mean, people before us, our founding fathers, knew you got to restrict government, you got to restrict control over our lives, because bad men will get control of those mechanisms. The government's just a tool, but you don't want to build the tool, the device that can enslave and destroy. Do you have any comments to that?
Yeah, through history, through the beginning of time, we've been learning that power is the ultimate achievement. no matter how the power comes, no matter how you use it. If you're in power, no matter how it is, negative, positive, indifferent, stoic, nothing. But if you feel you have power, and whatever way you use that feeling to give you the power you have, whether it be tyranny, wars, I mean, the greatest oxymoron of them all is holy war, which is not in God's plan. The poor people in the Middle East, the Islams and the Muslims, and the Arabs and the Taliban, the Afghanistans, the Pakistanis, Iraq, Iran, Syria, Turkey, Israel, Palestinians, they all have a purpose on this earth, but they're not using the purpose God gave them to use. They're using the fear that they have by not using God's purpose.
Traveling around the United States, do you see the mentality, the militarization of police intensifying? Do you see it getting worse, or is the vibe getting worse?
Well, yeah, I would say so.
Definitely.
Even since September 11, I just think overall all authority has stepped it up a notch.
Douglas MacArthur, another general who cannot be accused of being soft. He said in 1957 to the American people, beware of your government exaggerating foreign threats in order to expand military budgets.
We're talking about $3 trillion in oil in Afghanistan, $4 trillion in Iraq, hundreds of billions of dollars in weapons sales and occupation cost. And Dick Cheney hasn't even allowed bids to be taken. Halliburton and Bechtel and a handful of other corporations that put Bush in office have made all the profits.
Our sitting vice president taking a paycheck, I can't even believe I'm saying this, taking a paycheck from the American people while at the very same time taking one from a corporation that gets billions and billions of dollars in no-bid sole source contracts should make us all outraged, and the vice president should blush. But these people don't blush because in the end, they know they can get away with it.
It's about setting the precedent to mobilize the people behind this global war for what PNAC, the president's own organization, says is a war for global domination and setting up a domestic police state, getting rid of posse comitatus, putting troops on the streets, getting Patriot Act 1 passed, trying to pass Patriot Act 2. Okay, type in Project for New American Century. That's where Dick Cheney, 2 years before Bush got elected, said we need terror attacks to scare the people into submission so we can get the oil. Saddam's not a threat. It's all about using that as a military base. Type in Operation Northwoods. It's on my website, but you'll go to Library of Congress. The official U.S. government plan to carry out 9/11. It is declassified. ABC News, Baltimore Sun. Official U.S. government plan to carry out 9/11. Mayor Willie Brown of San Francisco getting a call from the White House, being told the night of September 10th not to fly to New York that morning. And then Condoleezza Rice and all the rest of them get up there on TV with the kingpin, Richard Armitage, and Colin Liar Powell, and tell you they never had any prior knowledge. They're a pack of liars. And they're getting power out of these attacks that they helped engineer with their business partner, Osama bin Laden. Don't worry, his stage capture is coming up.
Some people think that the response to 9/11, to that act of war that was committed against us, to the people who tried to decapitate us on that day and shut down our financial system, that the response to that ought to be limited war. We'll win in Afghanistan, we'll kill bin Laden, and we'll return to defensive position. This president believes that it's a broad war, that you not only have to deal with Afghanistan, but you've got to deal with the circumstances in the Middle East that have created Al-Qaeda, created the ideologies of hatred that are driving them, that you've got to have a peaceful and stable Iraq as a linchpin of a different kind of Middle East.
People need to understand this administration lied to the nation about 9/11. They lied about Iraq in 9/11. They lied insisting Iraq worked with Al-Qaeda in 9/11. They lied about saying there were weapons of mass destruction. They lied in order to justify an attack on Iraq. Their ulterior motives were very transparent. They were looking to control the oil, to be able to give contracts out, to be in a position where they could dominate the politics of the region and use that as a platform to control other nations in the region. I mean, the whole thing is unmasked, but the American people love their country.